Numbers Game with Gill Alexander on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Football season is here, and it's time to download BetMGM Sports. It is Nevada's premier sports betting app. BetMGM has all your favorite wagering options, along with in-game betting, boosted odds specials, and much more. Download the BetMGM app today and stop by any MGM casino on the Strip with your state-issued ID to open an account and start placing sports bets from anywhere in Nevada. Whatever your sport, whatever your betting style, you're going to love BetMGM's state-of-the-art technology and fan-friendly specials every day of the week. Visit BetMGM for terms and conditions. Must be 21 or older and physically located in Nevada. Please gamble responsibly. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. I love it. We get tweets at Beating the Book. A torrent of Dodgers tweets, Dodger fan tweets. Mike Alvarez, who we love. Can you tell your buddies in black and orange to keep their crappy candlestick wind north of Gilroy? Thanks in advance. I guess I'm 24 hours late on this, huh? Raj Body. Giants magic strikes again. Crawford, Solano, and the wind turn hits into outs, leaving the Dodgers analytics community crying about expected batting average and exit velocity numbers that should have gone their way. It's called Giants magic, everybody. It's also called Brandon Crawford is awesome. It's called a lot of things. Drew Dinsick joins us once again from the Deep Dive podcast, which he does with Andy Molitor. And, of course, also NBC Sports Bet the Edge, which he does with Sarah Perlman. Double podcasts every week. How many episodes of each do you do every week?
Well, we do daily a little half hour shots for Bet the Edge, and then we do 2 a week for Deep Dive. We do a Sunday nighter where we pick through the openers, try to make some early plays, capture a little value. Got a good one with the LA Chargers and the Baltimore Ravens over at 49.5. That is up to 51.5. So across the key number of 51, which as always makes me happy early in the week to be on the right side of a move like that. But and then the other Deep Dive, of course, Wednesday we go through every game on the card and try to break down every handicapping angle possible. Sometimes it's a pass, sometimes it's a play, but it's fun either way.
I like it. You're on the schedule that I've had for years with Beating the Book, guessing lines and Megapod, sort of a 2 times a week thing. And I'm curious, with your first podcast this week, you said that you played the over on the Chargers and the Ravens. That was the one spread that made no sense to me yesterday. And this is before the Ravens played last night. We saw some 3.5s in favor of the Ravens. Now it's settled at 3. I don't get either. I just don't. I'm curious if you felt the same way about this.
Well, this is one of those, because this time of year, you start to get into this very funny, murky water where the preseason priors would tell you that the Ravens absolutely should be a 3-point favorite or more at home. But the data we have from this season would tell you that the Chargers were wildly underrated by their preseason prior, especially on offense. Yeah. And so the question is, how do you weight those two pieces of information? Everybody has their own sort of general take in the marketplace. I think I know some people that barely move off their priors until they're like halfway through the season. So here we are, week 6. We're not even close to really, moving the Chargers number that much. But then I know others who are using the 5 weeks of data that we have really heavily, and they would say Chargers should be favored in this spot. I think independent of the number, what the Chargers have done this season has been wildly impressive. The decision-making by their head coach is currently the best in the NFL, which is amazing to say considering he is 5 games into his career as a head coach. His concepts for how he operates this offense, especially considering he was a defensive coordinator last year for the Rams, is it's mind-bending to see that somebody can pick that up this quickly and execute something so flawlessly, which is really all you can say about this Chargers offense. A couple of kind of wrinkles beyond what has been broadly covered, I think, fairly by the media at large and kind of glowing about Brandon Staley. Not just the going for it on 4th down, but the way that they're doing it, I think, is worth paying attention to. They're not just succeeding on 4th down by accident, right? Like, they're going for it in times when the defense is disorganized. They're expecting to get off the field. They're celebrating, 4th down. They're lining up to go for it on 4th and 2 and at their own 25. Like, they're going to catch you by surprise, and they are absolutely going to convert this down. And like that element of it beyond just that
is such an excellent point,
progressive, beyond the progressive nature of being aggressive, like catching the defense sleeping is, he is he's executing on just such a high level right now, and it's cool to see. But he goes up against Harbaugh this week. Harbaugh is obviously no slouch in this department, so it's going to be a great game.
Well, yeah, 4th and 2 at their own 24, down 27-13, 10:34 left in the third quarter. They go for it, 9-yard gain. And as I said yesterday, he gets the concept. If you're going to lose, you can lose by 100. It doesn't matter. 4th and 8, down 14, 35-21. Field goal range at the Cleveland 24 with 7:48 left in the fourth quarter. 20-yard gain. They eschew the field goal. They go for it. 20-yard gain. Next play, a touchdown after that. But your point is so well taken. That's not to even describe the whole, hey, slide when you get towards the goal line, Austin Eckler thing at the end. But you're right. Like that's because I go, look, at some point, this sort of fourth down aggressiveness is going to blow up in their face. But your point is very well taken, which is maybe not as often as we think because the odds are stacked in their favor in those moments for the reasons you state. I think that is a fine point to make about Brandon Staley.
I mean, think about just in your years watching football. Like, you know when a coach is like faced with a tough decision and he's sitting there on the sideline and he's thinking and you can see the gears turning and he's like, all right, timeout. We got to think this over real hard, right? Every time that happens, I'm like, this is not getting converted. There's no way. They're giving the defense the chance to evaluate the personnel on the other side of the ball, line up who they want exactly for this situation. In general, they may have some tendencies on a chart for that coach. They know what he's probably going to call. You're giving the
greatest example,
greater chance to stop you.
Yeah, the greatest example of that, Drew, is the famous Jim Zorn Washington versus the Giants play, where they clearly were going to fake a field goal. The Giants see it, call timeout, and Jim Zorn does exactly what you're talking about. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? They do the exact same thing. That's how brain dead it can get. No, I mean, you're right. It's this I said about if we took this kind of stuff and put it back in the 70s or 80s, people's heads would explode off their bodies, right? Like it's completely different and to the good. To the good.
Yeah. I guess one other quick thing about Staley, and this is speculative. This is not like, it's pretty obvious if you watch the tape. But he does seem to have a very clear sense of when his defense is gassed and they're not going to get the returning stop. Mm-hmm. Like exactly the opposite of Stefanski in that game. And basically the deciding moment of that game was Stefanski, lack of aggressiveness on their opportunity to put the game away, draw on third. He's complaining about what I thought was a missed PI call on the second down. And so he's not really, kind of thinking, well, what am I going to do with third down here? They do the draw to Kareem Hunt. Ultimately, they punt back the ball and give the Chargers the chance to win the game outright. But he did not really reflect or understand in that moment what was going on with his defense. They were down multiple starters. They came into the game down multiple starters. They lose more in game. His guys were getting absolutely beat on every passing down, and it was clear that there was not going to be some miracle defensive stop that was coming, especially when you have to defend 4 downs, which is what you were going to have to do against the Chargers in that moment. And the flip side was true of Staley, like both in the Chiefs game and in that in the Browns game. You could say he made some tactical errors end of game, not just taking the clock to 0 and kicking the field goal, right? Set aside the fact that his field kicker is somewhat unreliable. Yes. You can say he should have taken that to 1 second, kick the field goal, not even give them a final opportunity.
That's correct. Yeah, we brought that up yesterday. Yeah.
Instead, he went for the touchdown. And he got the touchdown in both instances relatively easily. Browns, to their credit, I think helped make sure that the touchdown was scored so that they had a final opportunity. But it does feel like Staley either has people helping him or is doing it himself, evaluating like the quality of the defense and, the degree to which they are, give away the key points late in games. And that's helping him in these moments, I think.
Drew, we only have 90 seconds, even less, 60 seconds. Chargers, Ravens over. What else you got?
I played the Browns at -2.5. I think there's a ton of questions about how Arizona's offense is going to operate in this spot with Kyler Murray dealing with an injury, with the wind potentially an issue along the lake. I played Minnesota on the money line. I think they're the correct. They should be the correct favorite there in that Mace flip as we get later into the week. I played the under in the Rams-Giants game. I don't think we see Daniel Jones. I don't think we see an aggressive approach at all from the Giants in that one. I think the Rams defense gets right in that spot. and I laid the points with the Green Bay Packers against Chicago. I think this is off by many points, honestly. I think this should be closer to a touchdown. So I'm Packers -4.5 this week, despite all of the injuries to the Green Bay defense.
All right, Cleveland, Minnesota on the money line, Rams, Giants under, Green Bay against the number against Chicago. The 3-2 somehow Chicago Bears. It should be pointed out.